Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on All India Radio. This is Saira Mujtaba and with me is R.S. Raghu, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. The headlines. Indian language journalism has played a key role in country's tradition, culture, freedom struggle and development journey, says Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Government of India reduces gap between second and precautionary dose of COVID-19 vaccination to 6 months for all adults. Britain's Financial Services Minister John Glenn resigns in protest against Prime Minister Boris Johnson. United Nations and US call for swift investigation into deadly clashes at mass protests in Uzbekistan. On to sports. In Women's Hockey World Cup, India to take on New Zealand in their final pool match in Amstelveen on Thursday. In Wimbledon tennis, former champion Simona Halep beats Amanda Anisimova to surge into women's singles semi-finals. Rafael Nadal faces Taylor Fritz in men's singles quarter-final. Sania Mirza wins her Croatian partner Mate Pavic to play mixed doubles semi-final. And in cricket, Indian men's team announced for 3-match ODI series against West Indies. Shikhar Dhawan to lead the Indian squad. And now the news in detail. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the Golden Jubilee celebrations of the Agradut group of newspapers via video conferencing on Wednesday. Addressing the gathering, the Prime Minister congratulated the strong voice of the Northeast in the Assamese language, Dainik Agradut, for the occasion and complimented them for keeping the values of unity and harmony alive through the medium of journalism. The Prime Minister emphasized that for the past few days, Assam is also facing great challenges and difficulties in the form of floods. The Prime Minister highlighted the sterling contribution of Indian language journalism to Indian tradition, culture, freedom struggle and the development journey. Journalism started 150 years ago in the Assamese language and kept on getting stronger with time. The Prime Minister said when there is dialogue, there is a solution. It is through dialogue that possibilities expand. Therefore, along with the flow of knowledge in Indian democracy, the flow of information is also flowing continuously.
भारत के समाज में डेमोक्रेसी इसलिए निहित है क्योंकि इसमें विमर्श से, विचार से हर मतभेद को दूर करने का रास्ता है। जब संवाद होता है तब समाधान निकलता है। संवाद से ही संभावनाओं का विस्तार होता है। इसलिए भारतीय लोकतंत्र में ज्ञान के प्रवाह के साथ ही सूचना का प्रवाह भी अविरल बहा और निरंतर बह रहा है। अग्रदूत भी इसी परंपरा को आगे बढ़ाने का एक महत्वपूर्ण माध्यम रहा है।
The Prime Minister said the expansion of Indian languages was stopped during the long period of slavery, and in modern epistemology, research was limited to a few languages. The Prime Minister stressed that no Indian should be deprived of the best information, best knowledge, best skill and best opportunity just because of language. This is our effort. He said that's why the NDA government has encouraged studies in Indian languages in the National Policy on Education. The Prime Minister continued on the theme of knowledge in the mother tongue and said that it is now our endeavour to make the world's best content available in Indian languages. Assam Chief Minister Dr. Himanta Biswa Sarma, who is the chief patron of Agradut's Golden Jubilee Celebration Committee, was also present on the occasion.
The COVID precautionary dose to eligible beneficiaries will now be administered after completion of 6 months from the date of administration of the second dose. The National Technical Advisory Group on Immunization has recommended the revision of the duration from the existing 9 months to 6 months. The Health and Family Welfare Ministry's Secretary Rajesh Bhushan has written a letter to all states and UTs in this regard. The Health Ministry said corresponding changes have been made in the COVID system to facilitate the new dispensation. It asked the states and the UTs to extend the benefit of a precaution dose to all the beneficiaries, including people aged above 18 years, healthcare and frontline workers during the Har Ghar Dastak 2.0 campaign. Britain's Financial Services Minister John Glenn resigned on Wednesday in protest against Prime Minister Boris Johnson. Glenn said in his letter to the Prime Minister that he can no longer reconcile his commitment to the role and to the financial services sector with a complete lack of confidence in PM continuing leadership of the country. His resignation comes after Finance Minister Rishi Sunak and Health Secretary Sajid Javid both announced their departures abruptly late on Tuesday.
UN Human Rights Chief Michelle Bachelet and the United States both called for a swift investigation into the deadly clashes at mass protests in Uzbekistan. Authorities in Uzbekistan said that 18 people had been killed in clashes in the autonomous Balochistan region on Friday after demonstrations erupted over planned constitutional changes affecting the territory's status. The unrest pitting protesters against security forces represented the most significant challenge yet to the rule of President Shavkat Mirziyoyev since he rose to power from the post of Prime Minister in 2016 when long-serving mentor Islam Karimov died. The United States separately voiced concern and urged all sides to seek a peaceful resolution to the tension. State Department spokesman Ned Priest said in a statement that they urge authorities to pursue a full, credible and transparent investigation into the violence consistent with international norms and best practices. Uzbekistan is a former Soviet republic and traditional ally of Russia, which has been facing international pressure over its military operation of Ukraine. The Kremlin said that President Vladimir Putin on Tuesday spoke by telephone with Mirziyoyev and expressed support for the efforts of the leadership of Uzbekistan to stabilize the situation in Balochistan. The size of the protest was unusually large for Central Asia and prompted Uzbek authorities to decree a month-long state of emergency in the impoverished western region. In today's Hotspot section, we bring you an exclusive interview with Anisa Kapufivega, High Commissioner of the United Republic of Tanzania to India. The interviewer is Kaushik Roy, AIR correspondent.
Tanzania and India have enjoyed traditionally close, friendly and cooperative relations. From the 1960s to the 1980s, the political leadership involved in both countries shared commitments to anti-colonialism, non-alignment as well as desire for South-South cooperation. The former president of Tanzania, Mwalimu Julius Nyerere, was held in high esteem in India. He was conferred with the Jawaharlal Nehru Award for International Understanding in 1974 and the International Gandhi Peace Prize in 1995. In the post-Cold War era, India and Tanzania both initiated economic reforms around the same time alongside developing external relations aimed at broader international political and economic relations. We are indeed privileged to have in our studios today Her Excellency, the High Commissioner of the United Republic of Tanzania to India, Mrs. Anisa K. Mbega. Namaskar and Habari. Your Excellency, how would you describe India-Tanzanian relations?
It is true that Tanzania and India have enjoyed an excellent, vibrant bilateral relationship over the years, in fact over the decades. India is an important friend and a key strategic partner of Tanzania over the decades, as I said before, and our cooperation extends from trade, investment, training, cooperation on international fields, including matters related to the United Nations, exchange of top leaders' visits, line of credits, especially for water projects in Zanzibar and Tanzania mainland, grants, etc. The list goes on and on. India is also among the top 5 trade partners for Tanzania for the past 5 years. Our statistics shows that Tanzania exports to India has been increased from $908,000 in 2017 to approximately $1 million in 2021. Exports from Tanzania are mainly in agricultural produce such as cashew nuts, legume including pigeon peas, beans and chickpeas, cloves, wood and sesame seeds, as well as gold and tanzanite, just to mention few. We highly value the friendship and vital support that India, our great partner, has been extending to our country for decades.
Madam High Commissioner, in a changed global order, what are the priorities for Tanzania?
Tanzania has lots of potentials, and previously Tanzania played a major role in liberation of most of the African countries from colonialism. But with the shift in global order, and given the fact that most of the countries are now independent, Tanzania's policy has also shifted, focusing on the implementation of economic diplomacy. There's also a need to uplift the standard of life of our poor people if we need to achieve a sustainable development. And hence we decided to shift a focus to prioritize our agenda for economic development. Tanzania's dream is to become an industrialized country, and this is why more emphasis is on the establishment of agro-processing industries and value addition for agricultural produce. The agriculture sector remains central to Tanzania's industrialization as it provides markets for industrial products and raw materials for our industries. Tanzania has 44 million hectares of arable land with an estimated 29.4 million hectares suitable for irrigation. This sector has varieties number of opportunities which will help uplifting our people's lives and our economy in general.
India and Tanzania have deep cultural ties, and who knows this better than you who have studied in India? How can we take our ties forward, our bonds, our friendship and our relations forward?
It is true, and I'm one of the beneficiaries of this cooperation because I also studied my first degree in India, and coming back to India for the second time as the High Commissioner feels at home to me. So I would say that Tanzania and India are very closely related in many fields, including culture. Tanzania is a home to about 60,000 people of Indian origin who interact with local communities at all levels. We share historical ties during the colonial era when traders from India came to the coast of East Africa for spice trading, ornaments, etc. through the Indian Ocean. Tanzanian people love Indian music a lot. We love the Indian dance and movies. So through this, people get to interact and formidable cooperation. Exchange programs through different channels such as training is a catalyst for continuation of the bond between our people of Tanzania and India. Trading and investments as well is also another avenue for maintaining such kind of a bond, just to mention few.
Major imports from India to Tanzania include petroleum products, pharmaceuticals, motor vehicles, 2-, 3-wheelers, wires, cable, electrical machineries, equipment and other things, including most importantly iron and steel, sugar, etc. And Tanzania's major exports to India include cashew nuts, as you mentioned, pulses, gold, timber and ores and metal scrap, etc. Ma'am High Commissioner, how do we increase the trade volume between our two countries? Because the trade is now the most important thing that connects peoples.
Yeah, as I said before, Tanzania's main focus is on the implementation of the economic diplomacy, and one aspect of it is trade. And Tanzania and India, we have enjoyed cooperation in different areas, including trade. In an effort to increase trade, the two countries agreed to form a platform known as Joint Trade Commission in January 2000. In this platform, all related matters of trade are discussed and agreed upon on the way forward. It has never been held since 2017 due to the corona pandemic. We've been affected by the corona pandemic in many fields, including trade as well. Now that the pandemic is over, the two countries have started again, initiated process for the arrangement of the next Joint Trade Commission in the near future. Through this kind of framework and also other means such as business forums, road shows, good political will, which we all enjoy in both our countries, Tanzania and India, etc., will help to increase the volume of trade between our two countries.
That's wonderful to hear. Madam, the Indian community, as you mentioned, is around 60,000 in Tanzania, and we have deep ties since the colonial period. What role does the Indian community, or rather the Indian origin community in Tanzania, play in the development of Tanzania?
We have a good number of Indian community in Tanzania, and most of them comes from Gujarat state, and most of the Indian community in Tanzania are from the business community. And they've already established themselves into different business ventures, including manufacturing, steel, agriculture, trading, etc. Their contribution to economic development of our country is highly recognized by the government of Tanzania. So as you can see, the community contributes to the economy of the country through trading and investment, which they have established. And trade and investment is always the backbone of the economy of the country.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Madam High Commissioner, which are the areas of cooperation, in your opinion, that India and Tanzania should expand cooperation in the coming years?
We have lots of areas, but I'll just mention few. Tanzania, as you know, of course, India has a very big population compared to Tanzania. In Tanzania, we've got a population of 59 million, 0.4 something. And with the growth rate of 2.7 and 3.1 of the population is aged 65 years and above. But most of all the medical facilities are imported from outside the country, and especially in India. The pharmaceutical and medical devices which the country imports is between 85% to 94%. And the imported products cost the government in terms of foreign currency spent annually around $0.8 billion to $1 billion. Therefore, Tanzania has a wide range of opportunities to invest in the areas of manufacturing of businesses, of medicines, medical supplies, laboratory supplies, etc. Also, there's the opportunity to invest in institution of training, industrial pharmacists, and also establishment of big hospitals like Apollo, Max, and others. Another area of focus is on agro-processing. Tanzania has an annual production of fruits and vegetables of around 2,750,000 tons per annum. Out of this, only 4% is processed. As you can see in agro-processing industries, opportunities for investment entails value addition and improvement of quality of standards. In Tanzania, we really need that aspect to be improved. So we need investment in those areas, and packaging as well as vegetables processing such as tomatoes, okra, bindi in Hindi. I love bindi, okra. We call it bamia in Swahili, and chilies. So we welcome investors and business people to explore on the mentioned opportunities, which will open up more doors of cooperation between our two countries.
We also thank you so very much, Ma'am High Commissioner, for gracing our studios today. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts.
Amid the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war, Moscow has claimed that some of the West-supplied weapons are spreading across the Middle East and ending up on the black market. In a televised remark, Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said that Ukraine had received more than 28,000 tons of military cargo so far, and some of the Western weapons were appearing in the Middle East. He alleged that in the hope of prolonging the conflict in Ukraine, the collective West is continuing large-scale arms supplies to the Kiev regime. He said that some of the foreign weapons supplied by the West to Ukraine are spreading across the Middle Eastern region and are also ending up on the black market. India's ambassador to China, Pradeep Kumar Rawat, said that BRICS countries as a whole can make greater contribution to the world, but not necessarily in conflict with international groups, adding that India participates in all the different international events, as India can make greater contribution by actively cooperating with more countries. A report.
Ambassador Rawat was speaking at a panel discussion, BRICS Cooperation, Opportunities and Challenges, as part of the 10th World Peace Forum in Beijing, organized by Tsinghua University. He tried to dispel the notion that BRICS is trying to replace other institutions and organizations. He said their aim is to provide more positive ideas and more initiatives for global development. Ambassador's remarks assume significance amid reports that BRICS may expand and enhance its clout to present an alternative alliance of the emerging markets to the West. Iran and Argentina have officially applied to join BRICS. The discussion was attended by the ambassadors of Russia, Brazil and South Africa to China. Mr. Rawat congratulated China for hosting 14th BRICS Summit last month. This is Ramya for World News, All India Radio.
In Sri Lanka, the Government Medical Officers Association in a statement said that the prices of medicine and medical equipment have increased 3 to 4 times in the local market. It further said it is very hard to find medicines and medical equipment due to the current economic crisis in the country. Association's Media Committee member Dr. Prasad Kolabage said certain medicinal drugs are not available in the local market. In this situation, people are trying to go to hospitals to get their medicines because they are unable to bear their cost. In Nepal, the government has decided to withdraw the bill to amend the Citizenship Act 2006 that is under consideration of the Parliament. Nepalese Minister for Law, Justice and Parliamentary Affairs, Govinda Koirala, told local media that the Cabinet on Tuesday decided to withdraw the bill from Parliament and register a new one by removing some provisions in the existing draft. He further said the new bill, with provisions agreed upon by the political parties, will be tabled in the House.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi conveyed his greetings to the Dalai Lama on his 87th birthday over phone on Wednesday. Mr. Modi wished him a long and healthy life. India is remembering Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee on his 121st birth anniversary on Wednesday. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu, Prime Minister Narendra Modi, BJP President J.P. Nadda, Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla along with several leaders paid tributes to the Jan Sangh founder. In a tweet, Vice President Naidu said Dr. Mukherjee was an eminent statesman, visionary thinker, renowned educationist and a passionate nationalist. The Prime Minister shared a video on his Twitter handle saying Dr. Mukherjee is widely respected for his contribution to India's development, particularly in sectors such as commerce and industry. BJP President J.P. Nadda also paid tributes to Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee on his birth anniversary. He said Dr. Mukherjee was a renowned educationist and thinker. In the Central Hall of Parliament, Prime Minister Modi, Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla and several union ministers paid floral tributes at the portrait of Dr. Mukherjee.
In a major step towards boosting the startup sector in Bangladesh, the first campus-based IT business incubator was opened at Chattogram. The facility, named Sheikh Kamal IT Business Incubator, was inaugurated by Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina at the Chittagong University of Engineering and Technology in a virtual function on Wednesday. The incubator will provide a complete and innovative ecosystem for startups in Bangladesh. Some 220 entrepreneurs, trainees, freelancers and potential startups will get financial and logistical services at the center along with mentorships. It will work as a bridge between the academia and the industrial and business sectors of the country. The incubator will also provide assistance to university graduates to develop themselves as entrepreneurs. South Africa's private sector activity expanded at the fastest pace in just over 1 year in June. Growth in new orders accelerated to a 13-month high in June, linked to a recovery in economic conditions, especially in KwaZulu-Natal following floods earlier this year. Media reports said that it happened due to strengthening of client demand, rising employment, and renewed stockpiling despite woes of inflationary pressures amid a surge in global fuel prices and supply-side challenges. The employment levels in June with the rate of job creation reached its highest point in a year. As a result of increased orders and activity, South African companies increased employment levels in June with the rate of job creation reaching its highest point in a year. And now a report from the world of business.
The Sensex gained 617 points or 1.16% to finish at 53,751. The Nifty also rose 179 points or 1.13% to settle at 15,990. At the global stock markets, Asian stocks declined amid fears of inflation and an economic downturn. Investors remain cautious amid concerns that the world is moving towards recession. South Korea's Kospi plunged 2.1% and China's Shanghai Composite Index ended 1.4% down. Japan's Nikkei 225 and Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index both declined 1.2% each. Singapore's Straits Times Index ended almost flat. European shares followed gains in intraday trade. Oil prices logged modest gains, recovering yesterday's heavy losses amid supply concerns which outweighed worries about potential global recession. Oil prices logged modest gains, recovering yesterday's heavy losses amid supply concerns which outweighed worries about a potential global recession. In intraday trade, Brent crude was trading at $104.15 per barrel. Back home, gold prices fell 155 rupees at multi-commodity exchange for August contracts. precious metal was trading at 51,150 rupees per 10 grams. On the other hand, silver prices rose 50 rupees to 56,915 rupees per kilogram for July contracts when reports last came in. And at the forex market, the rupee appreciated 7 paise against the dollar to close at 79 rupees and 30 paise against the American currency. V. Ravi Kumar for World News All India Radio.
In the FIH Women's Hockey World Cup, India will take on New Zealand Thursday in their final pool match. The match will be played in Amstelveen at 11 p.m. India secured a 1-1 draw against China in their Pool B fixture on Tuesday. Jiali Zheng gave China the lead in the 26th minute before Vandana Kataria equalized for India in the 45th minute. Earlier, India drew 1-1 against Tokyo Olympics bronze medalist England in their tournament opener. In Wimbledon tennis, former champion Simona Halep reached the women's singles semi-finals after defeating American Amanda Anisimova 6-2, 6-4 in the quarterfinals on Wednesday. In Thursday's semi-finals, the 16-seeded Romanian will face number 17 seed Elena Rybakina of Kazakhstan, who rallied for a 3-set win over Australia's Ayla Tomljanovic. In the women's singles, Nick Kyrgios reached the first Grand Slam semi-final of his career after overcoming Australian Christian Garin 6-4, 6-3, 7-6, 7-5. The quarterfinals between Spanish Rafael Nadal and Taylor Fritz of USA is underway. Sania Mirza with her Croatian partner Mate Pavic is to play the mixed doubles semi-finals in a short while from now.
The selection committee has selected the team for the 3-match ODI series against the West Indies. Shikhar Dhawan will lead the Indian squad against the West Indies. Regular skipper Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, Jasprit Bumrah, Hardik Pandya and Rishabh Pant have been rested for the series. The senior selection committee of the BCCI named a 16-member Indian team for the ODIs. The series will start from the 22nd of July. All the 3 games will be played in Port of Spain. Now, let us take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. First, we have a look at the press reports on China. AFP writes China placed 1.7 million people under lockdown in central Anhui province, where authorities reported nearly 300 new cases on Monday. New York Post writes a new report has claimed the Chinese government is now implementing cutting-edge artificial intelligence to monitor the minds of dozens of Communist Party officials. Fox News writes Japan lodges protest after Chinese-Russian warships spotted near disputed islands, terms it a grave concern. Japan views China's military assertiveness in the East and South China Seas as a threat to regional stability.
Now let's take a look at the press reports on Nepal. The Himalayan Times reports that Nepal Prime Minister Sher Bahadur Deuba has expressed commitment to fully implement the linguistic and cultural rights mentioned in the constitution. Khabar Hub reports that Karnali Province Chief Minister Jeevan Bahadur Shahi and Swiss Ambassador to Nepal Elizabeth von Schapler held a courtesy meeting on Tuesday.
Now let's have a look at the press reports from Balochistan. The Balochistan Post reports that at least 6 people, including 3 children, were killed and over a dozen others were injured in various rain-related incidents in Quetta and its adjacent areas on Monday.
Now press reports from Pakistan. The Nation reports that Pakistan and Turkey have agreed to further optimize military-to-military ties, particularly in training and counter-terrorism domains. And now let's take a press reports from Bangladesh. UNICEF in Bangladesh has issued a statement about the recent series of attacks on teachers in Bangladesh, reports the Daily Star. And now a quick look at the headlines once again. Indian language journalism has played a key role in country's tradition, culture, freedom struggle and development journey, says Prime Minister Modi. Government of India reduces gap between second and precautionary dose of COVID-19 vaccination to 6 months for all adults. Britain's Financial Services Minister John Glenn resigns in protest against Prime Minister Boris Johnson. UN and US call for swift investigation into deadly clashes at mass protests in Uzbekistan. In Women's Hockey World Cup, India to take on New Zealand in the final pool match in Amstelveen on Thursday. In Wimbledon tennis, former champion Simona Halep beats Amanda Anisimova to surge into women's singles semi-finals. Rafael Nadal faces Taylor Fritz in men's singles quarter-final. Sania Mirza with her Croatian partner Mate Pavic to play mixed doubles semi-final. And in cricket, Indian men's team announced for 3-match ODI series against West Indies. Shikhar Dhawan to lead the Indian squad. And now before we end, let's listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan, by artists from Comoros on their Independence Day. And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.